Section 2 of Money and Trade Considered by John Law. This audiobook recording is in the public domain. Chapter 2, Part 1. Trade is domestic or foreign. Domestic trade is the employment of the people and the exchange of goods within the country. Foreign trade has several branches. First, the product and manufacture being more than the consumption, a part is exported, and in return, foreign goods are brought home. And second, selling the goods exported at one port and loading there to sell another, whereby a greater return is made than if the goods exported had been carried directly there. Third, bringing home the product and manufacture of other countries whence and when they are cheap, to supply countries where and when they are dear. Fourth, bringing home the product of other countries and exporting it in manufacture. Fifth, trading or hiring out ships. And domestic and foreign trade may be carried on by barter, but not for so great a value as by money, nor with so much convenience. Domestic trade depends on money. A greater quantity employs more people than a lesser quantity. A limited sum can only set a number of people to work proportionate to it, and is with little success laws are made for employing the poor or idle in countries where money is scarce. Good laws may bring the money to the full circulation is capable of, and force it to those employments that are most profitable to the country. But no laws can make it go further, nor can more people be set to work without more money to circulate so as to pay the wages of a greater number. They may be brought to work on credit, and that is not practicable unless the credit have a circulation so as to supply the workmen with the necessaries. If that is supposed, then that credit is money, and will have the same effects on home and foreign trade. In addition to the money adds to the value of the country, so long as money gives interest, it is employed, and the money employed brings profit, though the employer loses. If 50 men are set to work, to whom 25 shillings is paid per day, and the improvement made by their labor be all equal to or worth 15 shillings, yet by so much the value of the country is increased. But as it is reasonable to suppose their labor equal to 40 shillings, so much is added to the value of the country, of which the employer gains 15 shillings. 15 may be supposed to equal the consumption of the laborers, who before lived on charity, and 10 shillings remains to them over their consumption. If a stove of wool is worth 10 shillings, and a knitted cloth worth 2 pounds, the product is improved to 4 times the value it had in wool. The workmen may be supposed to consume more than when they were not employed. Allow one force, the nation is gaining double the value of the product. So in addition to the money, whether the employer gains or not, adds to the national wealth, eases the country of a number of poor or idle, proportion to the money added, enables them to live better and to bear a share in the public with the other people. The first branch of foreign trade, which is the export and import of goods, depends on the money. If one half of people are employed and the whole product manufacture consumed, more money by employing more people will make an overplus to export. If then the goods imported balance the goods exported, a great addition to the money will employ yet more people, or the same people before employed to more advantage, which by making a greater or more valuable export will make a balance due. So if the money lessens, a part of the people then employed are set idle, or employed to less advantage. The product manufacture is less, or less valuable, the export of consequence less, and the balance due to foreigners. The second and third branches of foreign trade, including the trades of carriage, are monopolized out of Europe by these countries who have colonies, and in Europe by these who sell cheapest. Scotland has advantages for trade by which the merchants might undersell merchants in Holland, as cheapness of living, paying less to the public, having workmen, seamen, and provisions for victualling cheaper. But if the Dutch merchant's stock is £10,000, and his yearly expense 500, he can trade at 10% profit and add yearly £500 to his stock. A real Scots merchant, whose stock is £500 and his yearly expense 50, cannot trade so cheap. If it is asked how a Dutch merchant trades who has only £500 stock, he restricts his expense so as he can afford to trade at 10% profit. Will money be in greater quantity in Holland, whereby it is easier borrowed and at less use, he gets credit for more at 3 or 4%, by which he gains 6 or 7. And unless money be in greater quantity in Scotland, or expense retrenched, we cannot trade so cheap as the Dutch, though we have advantages for trade that they have not, and though they be under disadvantages we are not liable to. By a greater quantity of money and economy, the Dutch monopolize the trades of carriage even from the English. The first branch of foreign trade, bringing home the product of other countries and exporting it in manufacture, depends on the quantity of money. We are so far from competing with the Dutch in this trade that our wool was sent to Holland and imported from thence in manufacture. Under the difficulty of prohibition on the export of the wool and on the import of the manufacture. Yet besides the advantages already named, which we have for trade over the Dutch, the material is the product of our country, and the greater privileges are granted to the manufacturers here than in Holland. It is alleged, if the prohibition had continued, manufacturers might have come to perfection. The advantage suddenly made by manufacture may have occasioned the setting up of war, while the money has been diminishing. But that money so employed has been taken from some other use it was before employed in. For money cannot serve in two places at one time. It is alleged that the allowing the wool to be exported occasioned the exportation of the money. That at one time £5,000 was sent to England to buy wool. It is asked what became of that wool. The answer, it was sent to France for wine. Then, as £5,000 of English wool may be worth 8 or 10,000 pounds in France, so the £5,000 sent to England saved the sending out of 8 or 10,000 pounds to France. To these who don't fully examine the state of this country, it may seem odd that wool should be allowed by law to be exported. But if the product of Scotland cannot be manufactured with less than 50,000 people, and the money that can be spared to manufacture be only capable to employ 25,000, while half the product will be lost if it is not allowed to be exported. The first branch, the freighting or hiring of ships, depends on the money, and the other branches of trade, where ships are in use to be freighted by strangers and supported by a great demand for their own trade. There are all sorts of ships are to be hired cheaper than other places, and merchants are sure of the ships as their people for the goods they load with, and the countries they trade to. In this trade of freighting, bring the goods of other countries to Holland, without design or sell elsewhere. The woolen manufacture from England to Portugal yields 25% profit, and to Holland 15%. The English merchant will choose to send such goods to Holland 15% rather than to Portugal for 25%. these goods are all consumed in the country, the nation loses £1,000 money or oil exported. They do not consider whether the £8,000 of goods imported or supposed to be consumed in the country was not less than the consumption of the product or manufacture of the country, so as to occasion an addition to the export, at least equal to the sum of money or good exported. But although they do not lessen the consumption of the goods of the country, and the use of them is not at all necessary, yet these goods being worth £8,000 at the home of abroad, the nation gains 6,000. If the people consume them in extravagant uses, that's not the fault of the trade, nor for that reason should that trade be called disadvantageous. It is a fault of the government, who ought to hinder the too great consumption of foreign goods, especially such as might be bounded to such causing great consumption of the goods of the country. That care being taken by making the rent less profitable at home than abroad, the merchants would export them, or for the future lessen the import. If East India goods that serve £1,000 annually are only worth about £800, the duty paid at their entry and return would more give as drawback to encourage the export. The rent abroad would be more profitable than in England. The people may consume more of their own or foreign goods than the value of the product manufactured and profits by trade. But the trade is not disadvantageous. It is that your good consumption, and that your good consumption of the product manufactured of the country may be as valuable as that of foreign goods. For if so much is consumed that the remainder exported won't pay the consumption of foreign goods, a balance will be due, and that balance will be sent out in money or bullion. End of section 2.